So Clara Schumann, born in 1819, and she lived until 1896. She was born Clara Wieck, later married Robert Schumann, was one of the great concert pianists of the 19th century. She had a distinguished career as a pianist. She was also a significant composer who wrote wonderful songs, chamber works, piano works, including these 3 romances for violin and piano, which she dedicated to Joachim. They date from 1853. Clara Schumann was conflicted about her compositions. At that time, the idea of women writing great music was just not an idea that was widely accepted. So there were several women composers who composed, as it were, against the grain. They had it in them to compose, and they composed even though their music was not fully recognized during their own time. In Clara Schumann's case, it's obvious that she had serious ambitions as a composer. She wrote a wonderful piano trio, and early on, when she was only 14, she wrote a piano concerto. It was premiered in 1834 in Leipzig at the Gewandhaus. The conductor was Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdy. This piano concerto was a work that actually has a theme that Robert Schumann would later cite in his Dichterlebe, his great song cycle on the poems of Heinrich Heine. And Robert helped out with the orchestration. Now, these 3 romances, which were written for Joachim, are jewels. And the D-flat major romance, the first one, is just an exquisite pearl in my estimation. It is rather like a Lied ohne Worte. The idea here is that it is a duet. So the violin and piano are duetting. The piano is sometimes accompanying, sometimes the piano has melodic strands that are picked up by the violin and vice versa. So, Katharina, what do you know about Clara's relationship with Joachim?
I know that Clara was Joachim's favorite pianist, or one of his favorite pianists, and he very much enjoyed playing with her, especially because of her noble style. She was not considered in his eyes a virtuosa, because that had a negative aftertaste. Rather, she was considered by him a very noble performer with a very classical orientation. And this is something that Joachim also shared, this orientation, for much of his life. And so I think they together loved performing the works by Beethoven, Schumann, Brahms, and a few others. But this was the core repertoire that they played together. And they played for many decades and wrote many letters to each other. They were well informed of each other's headaches and heartaches, especially Clara was well informed about Joachim's heartaches. So the only thing they didn't do together is go to London, because Clara didn't like going to London. Joachim loved going to London. So that was one thing where they disagreed. There's a beautiful painting by, I don't know who painted it, but Joachim and Clara are on it. And they both look very much into the music and concentrated and focused. It's a really beautiful picture. One can well imagine how they perform together.